Hi, how are you? How are you?
Good. Where's everybody else?
Hello.
Hmm?
How you doing?
Good. Good.
How long you back for now?
What? How long? Till after Rosh
How
Hashanah.
long? Huh?
I leave after Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you living in the Yerushalayim?
I'll be in, it's called Keter David.
Oh, you're David. Oh, okay.
No, Keter David. This is behind the YMCA.
Oh, okay.
There is.
Did you get in because you have children there? Is that how you got in?
I got in because I made Aliyah.
Because what?
I made Aliyah.
Oh, officially, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I became a citizen.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So.
Did you go? With what are they? The group that goes to
Well,
Israel?
no, I started the process with Nefesh Benefesh, but most of it there wasn't that much that they did. But most everybody goes through them. It's easier than going through the Interior Ministry.
So are you able to bring? How long do you have to bring the merchant stuff in? Things that you need, like the lifts. How long do you have to do that?
I think you have 3 years to do that.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, you have a few years to do it.
Oh, okay, good. Is your wife happy too?
Well, is she happy?
Is your wife happy about making Aliyah?
Yeah, with some reservations, which have to be, like smooth out.
So did you retire from your business?
Not entirely, but most of it.
Are you able to do in Israel do work too?
Yeah, I can do it in Israel. I can do it anywhere.
That's good. Yeah, good. Hope things pick up now.
Well,
that's good. All right, wonderful.
We thought it was picking up, and then came this Delta, and who knows what's going
to. I know now you can't get it. Now you can't get it until September 1. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's showing one for me.
What's going on? Oh, Mario is there now? Kenny, what's up, Kenny? All right.
Everything's great. Baruch Hashem.
Good. Very good. Mario, you give me the shear, Mario?
Hello. Oh, you like to see them all? I like to see everybody, yeah. I thought they didn't want that. That's why I never put it. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hey, Ernie. You're in a new spot.
Yeah. Okay, we're on Vav Amud Aleph. I have yard site tonight. Hey, Av. Somebody's on the door. Yeah, please. Tonight is also the yard site of the Arizal. My father was Yaakov ben Yechezkel. If anyone can make it at 9 o'clock from my riv here in my home, it would be appreciated. You can also, those of you in the Tzor Bashir can pick up the new volume 8. Okay, so we're on Vav. Sukkah Vav Amud Aleph.
Ernie, so do you have any volume 7s left or no?
Say that again.
You have any 7 left? Volume 7, Surba?
I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do. So you can come and pick both up. Okay. So last night we said that the pasuk Eretz Chita So'ira Gefen Te'ena V'Rimon is, how could you say that the Shiurim is Halach L'Moshe Sinai? It's a Doraisa because it's a pasuk Eretz Chita, and we start off. How is Chita a shear? Because on the bottom of Heyom Beit Hanichnas L'Bayis Hamenuga, somebody walks into a house that is afflicted with saras, and Caleb al Ktefa v'Sanov v'Dabos b'Yado, he has clothing folded on his shoulder, and he's carrying rings and shoes. Hu v'hein tmein miyad. So they become tummy right away, he as well as the items. However, hayu lavush Caleb v'Sandal v'Raglav v'Dabos v'Tzvosa. If he was wearing the clothing and wearing shoes and wearing rings, hu tummy miyad. So as a physical tumah for the person, he becomes tummy right away. However, hein tahoirin, the items of clothing that he's wearing remain Torah. He has to dwell in the house until the period of time that he eats a piece of bread made out of wheat, not out of barley. And that's what it meant by chita. It's giving us the shear that you have to dwell in the house long enough to eat a chilas pras piece of bread, of wheat, mesav, leaning, the oichel beliftan, and eating it with a dip. So that's the shear. Half a loaf. Chachamim said, we know it's about 9 minutes. Bichdei chilas pras is a half a loaf. And that shear is very important. For example, you have to, when you eat matzah on Pesach night, you can't just nibble at it for 2 hours to eat a kazayas. The kazayas has to be eaten within Bichdei Chilas Pras, within that 9 minutes. Same thing, if you eat a piece of nevela, you're not going to get malchus unless you eat the kazayas within that 9 minute frame. If you nibble at it, it takes you 20 minutes to consume the kazayas, you would not get malchus. So'oira, what kind of shear is so'oira? This not. Etzem ke so'oira. The flesh of a corpse is metame be'oil in it with a kazayas. But a bone the size of a bean is metame b'magul v'masa. If you touch it or you carry it in a box, you don't necessarily touch the bone, but you move it. Ve'eno metame ba'oil. Etzem kesar is not metame ba'oil. Gefen of the pasuk chita eretz chita sora gefen v'tena v'rima. What's gefen? It's kedei revias yain l'nazir. So a nazir is supposed to stay away from wine. How much wine does he drink in order to trigger the aver of Nazirus, of violating Nazirus, which is a revius? Yayin. Te'ena, fig, is kegroigres lotzad Shabbos. If you remember Masechta Shabbos, we went through all sorts of different things regarding shiurim. If you carry something outside, depending on the item, some were bigger, some were smaller. Food, carrying food was kigroigris. If you carry food the size of a te'ena, you'd be chayav for hotzat Shabbos. Rimon, what halacha shiurim midoraisa is taught from the word rimon, pomegranate. It's not. Kol klei balibatim, shiurim kerimonim. A kli is makabel tumah. Now, if a kli is damaged to the point where it has a hole in it, where it's not useful as a kli, then it is not makabel tumah anymore. Now, for a householder's kli, if a kli has a hole in it the size of a pomegranate, well, that can't hold anything because it's all going to come pouring out because that's a pretty big hole. That's the shear where it would not be makabel tumah anymore. Eret zeit shemen, which refers to an olive, Zayid, is Eretz Shekol Shirei Kazesim. It refers to the land of Israel, where all of its shiurim is kazayis, right? What's the shiur of matzah? Kazayis. What's the shiur eating, violating nevela? Kazayis. All the shiurim in general kazayis. So the Gemara asks, Kol shiures akadaita? What do you mean, all of the shiurim? We just mentioned many other shiurim that has nothing to do with the kazayis. So ha'ekahani, that right? There's these other ones. The majority of the shiurim when it comes to halacha is kazayis. Dvash. Now, dvash in the pasuk of Eretz Chitos Oira Gefenotin Eretz Zeichemnu Dvash refers to date honey, not to bee honey. And what's the shiur of a date? We just finished Masechta Yoma, that the shiur of eating on Yom Kippur is like a fat date. So these shiurim that we listed are all important shiurim midaraisa. So what do you mean halacha l'moshe misina? Alma daraisa ninu. These are daraisa dikashir. Afraid the Gemara v'tizbara. Is that so? Shiur and miksivi. The pasuk doesn't say what we just went through. The pasuk said Eretz Chitas Oira Gefenotin. It mentioned these 7 primary fruits in Eretz Yisrael. Where do you see that the Torah said anything about shiurim? These shiurim are halacha l'moshe misinai. Ukros machta b'alma. The pasuk is a mnemonic for us. It's a way for us to remember these shiurim. So the Gemara started off before yesterday to say, is chatzitzin doraisa. The concept that when you go to a mikveh and you have a piece of dirt on and it's choitzeitz, it intervenes between the water of the mikveh and your flesh, and therefore the tahara is not complete. You're telling me that the din of chatzitza is deraisa? T'chsiv v'rachatz is psora b'mayim shelo yeh dover choitzitz beino lebein hamayim. So the Gemara initially said chatzitzin is halacha l'moshe misinai. How can you say the din of chatzitzin is halacha l'moshe misinai? It's a clear deraisa. It's a pasuk. Rachatz is psora b'mayim shelo yeh dover choitzitz beino lebein hamayim. Ki asa hilchasa l'sa'arim. Enochanami, the basic din of chatzitza is deraisa. The halach l'moshe misinai was needed regarding a person's hair and how a person's hair serves as a chatzitza. K'derav Rav Chana. Rav Chana, nima achas keshura chotzetzes. You have one hair that is in a knot, so that becomes a chatzitza. Shalosh einen chotzetzes. If you have 3 hairs that are intertwined with each other, so the Gemara sees that case that it can't really be tied very tightly that way. Therefore, it's not going to be a chatzitza if you go to a mikveh. Shtay many odesh. But 2, I don't know the din. And so the Gemara wanted to say that this din of the hair and how it serves a chatzitza is halacha l'moshe misinai. For the Gemara saro nami deraisa. The din of hair is also deraisa d'chsiv. The rachatz es psora b'mayim, and the s hatofel l'psara. We do a drasha the s because you could have just said the rachatz psaro b'mayim. What's the extra word es psaro? Es hatofel l'psara. Es refers to that which is subservient to his skin. Umayni usaro. It's about his hair. So hair is also a deraisa. And for the Gemara, that which we said, that the din of chatzitza, the halacha l'moshe misinai, refers to the din of Rav Yitzchak. I'm Rav Yitzchak. Dvar Torah, mina Torah, if a halacha l'moshe misinai, rubo umakpid alav choitzes. if most of his hair is dirty with clay or dirt, and he's makpid on it, means it bothers him. Choitzitz. That type of dirty hair will serve as a chatzitza. V'she'eno makpid alav eino choitzitz. Even if he's dirty, if he's, let's say this is how he works all day. He's not makpid to clean himself all the time. It's bottled to him. It's not a chatzitza. However, came the chachamim the gazru al ruvo she'eno makpid. If even though Meikar Adin, if the majority of his body was dirty, but he's not makpid, it's Meikar Adin, it would not be a chatzitza, but the chacham made a gzeira on the majority of zmak makpid, mishum makpid, because the ikar din is if the majority and he's makpid, so people are not going to. Once it's rov, it's rov. Now, va'al miutu makpid, that's also a gzeira, that if he's makpid, even if it's a minority of his body, mishum rubu makpid. Afraid the Gemara of Elixir-Nami al miutu she'ena makpid. Why don't we make gzeira on the fourth possibility, which is a minority that he's not makpid on? Right, mishum miutu makpid, or inami mishum ruba she'ena makpid. The Gemara says he gufa gzeira. The whole thing is a gzeira, not naked, the nigzer gzeira, that's not needed. So the final one we're not going. Then we also said mechitzen, the dinim of walls. What constitutes a halachic wall? That's got to be 10 amas. That's a halach l'mosh misina. Hadamor, we mentioned that. Anich Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda learns that it's a halacha. And Rabbi Meir, who learned it directly from a pasuk, Mayil Kameima. So for Rabbi Meir, Kiasai Hilchas and halacha l'mosh misina regarding walls is to teach me the din of legud asik mechitzasa. Remember, we had a halacha that if you have a roof and you put 4 posts on the corner and you put schach on top of it, but there's no walls, so we learn good asik lamaila and good asik lamata. We extend sort of a imaginary wall. The wall is there in the house. We draw it up to the top of the schach. That's called good asik. Then we have a concept of lavud. For example, if you have, let's say, the wall of the sukkah that comes all the way down to the ground, but is within 3, but there's a space within 3 tfachim. So less than 3 tfachim, we say the principle of lavud. Lavud is also, we imaginarily draw the wall down. 3 tfachim is, yes, 3 fistfuls. So that's lavud. The doifen akuma, we said, let's say the sukkah has unkosher schach, or for example, no schach, or let's say even unkosher schach. If it's within 4 amas of where the kosher schach is, we use the principle of doifen akuma, which is that bent wall. We view the wall that's there as if it goes up to the kosher schach, and the whole sukkah will be kosher. You can't eat underneath the unkosher schach, but the other part of the sukkah will be kosher, and that's the din of doifen akuma. But it's got to be within 4 amas. If it's more than 4 amas, we don't say doifen akuma. And that's halach l'mosh mesinai according to Rav Meir. So we had a machloikes. How many walls do you need for a kosher sukkah? So ton rabo shtayim kilchasim ushlish is afilu tefach. Tanakama, we paskin this way. You need 2 real walls. The 3rd wall could be just a tefach. So if you have 2 and a tefach, that's enough for a kosher sukkah. Reb Shimon Omer, sholosh kilchasim revius afilu tefach. He says you need like a chet, 3 walls, and the 4th wall has to be a tefach. We do not paskin that way. Now, the Maika Mifti. What is the source of the machlokas between the Tanakama and Reb Shimon? Rabbanan Savri Yesh Aim La Masores. The way the letters are written in the Torah, that's not how we read it. So the word Sukkot is written Samech Chaf Taf, and in other places it's written Samech Chaf Vav Taf, Mole with a Vav. Okay, so if you hold Yesh Aim L'Masores, we go after the way it was written. So even though you pronounce it Sukkot, which is plural, it's only going to be singular. Only the Sukkot with the Mole, if you hold Yesh Aim L'Masores, will be considered multiple, and the minimum multiple is 2. So Sukkot would refer to 2, and Sukkot Vav would refer to 1. Versus Rab Shimon Savar Yesh Aim LaMikra. No, we go after how we lane it. Since we say Sukkot is plural, Sukkah is singular. All the times that the Torah mentions the word Sukkot is considered plural. And let's see how this works out. Rabbanan Savar Yesh Aim LaMasores. We have 3 psukim. Basukot teshvu shivas yamim. Ki basukos hoshavti es bnei Yisrael. Basukos teshvu and keep yeshvu basukot and ki basukot hoshavti. So it says 3 times Sukkot. However, and Sukkot is the first 2 Sukkots are without a vav, and the last one is with a vav. So the Sukkots, since we follow the way it's written in the Torah, each regular Sukkot is 1, 1, and Sukkot is 2. Harekan Arba. So that gives us the number 4. So we would think you need 4 walls. Dal Chad Legufe. Now, one of these words, Sukkot, has to teach me the din of Sukkah. So I don't have it for a drush. Pashilahu Tlosa. So we're left with 3. Shtayim Kilchosim. 2 have to be proper. Comes the Halach L'Meshim Sinai to tell us the 3rd wall can be reduced to just a tefach. And that's how the Rabbanan learned 2 and a tefach. Rab Shimon Savar Yesh Aim LaMikra. We go on to how we lane it. Basukot, basukot, basukot. The word is Sukkot, even though it doesn't have a vav, it's considered mole. So that each one of the words Sukkot refers to 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2, Harekan Sheish. So you're talking about 6 walls. Dal Chad Kra Legufe. 1 pasuk you got to get rid of because so therefore you're only left with 4. Right? Because if you remove 1 word basukot and that basukot refers to 2, it's 6 minus 2, which equals 4. Pashular. And so you need 4 walls. Comes the halacha when Rab Shimon, Suzi, Sholish Kil Chosen. So that 3 of the walls have to be la halacha, and also Hilchos of the Garsel Revius Book Masata. Comes halacha L'Mashmi Sinai and says that the 4th wall can be just a tefach. That's the first way. Hi, Jerry. Sit. We're just finishing the Daf Yomi. Really, everybody holds. It's how we read it. Basukot, basukot, basukot. So you end up with 6. That you need to have schach, another drush. That you gotta have that the fact that you have to have schach does not require a pasuk. That's the whole ikar of a sukkah. You can't have a sukkah without schach. The e-boy say which would say basukot, basukot, basukot is only 4. So how do you end up with the same machlar? That the Rabbanon hold that comes and reduces the 3rd wall to only a tefach. Umar Savar, no. You have 3 walls to start with in Kiyah. The halach l'moshe masim comes to tell me that you add a fourth wall. That's just a tell. Fourth way of learning. That everybody holds that the halacha came to reduce the size of it. And everybody holds the Yesh Ein Lamasores, which is how it's written in the Torah. So Pasukot would be 4. However, there's another machlokes. The first time the word appears, do you darshan it or not? Mar Sover Dorshan Tchilas. So the Chachamim hold you do darshan even though the first appears you can darshan. So since we started off with 4, what we need one. We need one to tell me the Ikar Adin, that you need a sukkah, and then the other one is a drasha, but the drasha brings it down from 3 walls to 2 and a tef. There's no drasha at all. Yeah, you need a sukkah, and you end up with 3 full walls. Rav Masta Amar Tami Rav Shimon Mehoch. Rav Masta says there's another source for this din of Rav Shimon that you need 3 walls and a tefa. It's a pasuk in Yeshaya. The sukkah tiel etzel yoman mechori. Sukkah should be to give shade in the daytime. Ulemechsar, ulemister, ulemischer mizram, umem. So therefore, the sukkah has to be something that shields, that covers. If it's 2 and a tefach, it's not going to fulfill that pasuk. Now, that which we said, the 3rd wall needs a tefach. Also, tefach heichad mamido. Where do you shtel off? Where do you put this extra tefach? Amar Rav mamido keneged hayotze. Mokum shemachitza kala be'ezah sheyirtze. Im hashtayim mizrachis tzfoinis yasa tefach b'sofa tzfoinis. Means you add the extra tefach to. Like you see Rashi's picture, where you add the tefach sort of opposite, opposite the corner. Rav Kana Ravasi Lerav, the Yamidenu Keneged Rosh Tor. B'miktzot tzfonis barovis balachson. Maybe you draw a diagonal and you place it there. So we'll have different shitas, which we'll learn tomorrow, as to how we get where we place that extra thing. Okay. I would highly recommend the babka. That is homemade